What interested me is the kind of experimental and radical nature that lies at the core of Lea's practice, something which is also very much in line with Henie Onstad Kunstcenter's focus and area of interest. Briefly described, the project deals with Armenian mystic George Gurdjieff. He was a spiritual leader in the first part of the 20th century. What we encounter in a way is different elements that kind of appear in his science fiction work, Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson, a book that was published in 1950. And it's quite an extraordinary story that spans about 1,200 pages, and it deals with a tale of how man became sluggish and horny, in a sense. Basically, the story goes as this: Beelzebub is traveling on his spaceship with his grandson Hussein, and he's telling the story of how a kunda buffer, a kind of non-organic organ, was inserted into man in order to keep the moon in its orbit. So in essence, man became food for the moon. The way that Lea describes her process is that she squirms her way through Gurdjieff's ideas. And the choice of the word squirming is not coincidental. She's punning on a slippage in Beelzebub's story where his grandson Hussein accidentally mistakes man for slugs. And so this idea that humans are slugs, Lea found very interesting because, again, it allows her to kind of create these fabulations or speculate about what it would be like to kind of engage a slug-centric view as opposed to a human-centric view. And here she's drawing on the theoretician Karen Barat, among others, who is a scientist who's engaged some of these ideas about looking at the world not in the terms of the binaries that we are used to with male, female, culture, nature, but something that is far more radical and really perceive human beings as being alongside sort of technology, inanimate objects, etc. So quite a kind of radical approach. And the snail turns up in the exhibition in various ways. You have the kunda buffer on the floor, which is very snail-like, that you encounter as you walk through the forest of rods. But the slug also shows up in two videos. She has mounted two tiny video screens on a standing sculpture. And one shows slugs mating, the other shows the core of a rope dissected and shown very close up. It both looks like microorganisms moving very fast in a kind of slug cradle, but it also looks like the moon. And of course, the reference to the moon is important because the central core of Gurdjieff's story is that man has become food for the moon. And Lea took advantage of the fact that Selhokken, the space that the exhibition is in, has a half-moon shape, and wanted to, in a way, create an ambiguity about where where all this has taken place. So we're neither in space, but we're certainly not on Earth. We're in some sort of ambivalent space. You could say the space of fiction, or at least a space of fabulations.